Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Alrighty. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's good to be back. Last week, I was out because I was in DC with my wife for the week. It was my birthday weekend, so we spent some time there exploring, checking out DC. But I'm back on my regular schedule now, and I will continue streaming every Tuesday and Friday for now, unless I let you guys know. But today, basically, what I want to do is just go over some of the pictures I took at DC and talk about today's stream and what we're gonna do. So let's hop into the DC tab. Alrighty, so DC was nice. We enjoyed it. A lot of things to see, a lot of places to go. It's really enjoyable for us. We like museums and that sort of thing, so we had a lot of fun visiting all the monuments and all the places they have there. I just want to show you a few snapshots from the trip. On the left here, I'm just basically showing these designs that I liked. And one thing I like about DC is they have a lot of styled stuff. They have a lot of cool things to see there. But specifically like these restaurants and these logos, I really enjoyed seeing stuff like that where it's all like cohesive, it's all branded, it's all styled together. That's really nice. Here's the Lincoln Memorial that we went to, which was really cool. The obelisk, I think that's what it's called. And then we have the Capitol. The one thing we didn't see is actually the White House, which kind of regret in hindsight, but it's all right. Sure, we'll make it back there sometime soon. But the reason I'm showing these photos is because I like taking inspiration from around me. So when I go places, I try to get inspired by things that we visit, that we see. So basically today what I'm going to do is try to create icons based on some of these landmarks, some of these things that are known in DC. And I'm basically going to guide you guys through my entire process from start to finish. I'm not sure how far we'll get in this segment. We might have to do another stream on Friday to finish everything up, but basically today's stream is going to be all about icons and iconography. Let me just show you some of the icons and icon work that I've done in the past. Just talk you through some of these things. So this was my latest rendition or version of icons here, and these are a little more detailed than I typically create. You can see with the little shadow work and the highlights in the dark places, but people seem to enjoy these and the style. So this is something cool that I was working on. Here's some other icons I worked on, and as you can tell, they're mainly outline icons, and they have this element that's filled in all of them, and they have like a little backdrop and back shadow. So the whole thing with icons is you create one style you create one style and you try to stick with it and try to recreate it. And the closer you can keep that style, the easier it is to recognize your icon set, and the better it looks together all together. So let's look at some other icons here. So this is for a client that we worked on before, and basically there's just two versions that we provided for this client. Personally, I like the one on the left. The details are really nice here. But when we're creating these icons, what we're trying to do is compress an image, an idea, trying to translate something to the person with a simple little picture icon. So here's another version, and all these are different, but the idea is to keep the style the same. So here are just some ones that I worked on in the past. But today what I think I want to do is create like a DC style icon, or maybe an icon set. Here's a little more complex version of icons. These I really enjoyed creating, the home icons with these little, they're all consistent with having on the left this filled in looking shadow, so that was cool. Let's see what else we have here. Here's just another version. These are more abstract concept icons, and some of these you'll understand just from looking at it. Some of them you'll need context to understand. Here's some of the icons that really exploded. It's probably one of my most popular shots, and I basically just try to combine and create something interesting. And these are also more abstract. Here's some 3D type looking icons that were created way back. All right, so starting an icon project. Typically the first thing I do is search for icons. So let's just go and see what's out there, what we can pull for inspiration. Also, I want to share with you guys a profile of this guy, Peter Voth. I really love his style and work, and I'm gonna attempt to create maybe something in this style soon. I don't know if it'll be in this stream, but I think this could be really cool. Really want to experiment with this style. I've never done it before, so it's something interesting to try out. Hey Ardash, thanks for joining in. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's find some inspiration here. That's what I typically do in the beginning. And for those of you who are just jumping in, we're going to be creating icons based on DC monuments. I just came back from DC, that's why I didn't stream last week. So just catching up there. But yeah, let's find some icons just to pull for reference. These are pretty cool. I like these icon sets. Nextlater does some good work, so let's just open that up. Now I'm just looking for like ideas. I'm not looking to recreate a style or anything like that. We just want to maybe like, if I like a texture or the way the overlay is for the icon, something like that. That's what we're kind of looking for. Let me know how the sound quality is and if the music is too loud or if it's good. This is pretty cool. I like this style here. So right now we're just gathering some inspiration. Let's search up icon set, see what comes up. Also, if you guys have any recommendations how to better showcase my schedule or when I'm going live, let me know, because I know it's kind of vague. I didn't really shout out this one until the last second. This stream. Let me see if I can search landmarks. Maybe trying to figure out best way to search this. Like, this is really cool. I love this right here. All right, cool. I think that's enough inspiration here. So here's just some different styles. And of course, I'm going to use their stuff for inspiration. I'm going to make sure to drop a like. Alrighty, so here's some few styles that I chose that I might lean in one of these directions. This one I chose because I like how Nick creates this shadow work and just with simple colors. There's only, I think, only 3 colors throughout this entire thing. So that's really cool. I like these colors right here. And this is a neat stamp style, and it actually has I'm pretty sure that's the Capitol building right there, or something similar. And these colors are cool too, the shadow work. And this is a more of an outline and zoomed out view of the icons. Okay, so now that I got this inspiration, just gonna move these out of the way here, and I'm gonna go back to them and just kind of look at them throughout the process. So here are the pictures I took in DC, and what I'm gonna do is whip out my Wacom, which I will use to draw this. Alrighty, cool. So let me open up my sketchbook app. It's Autodesk Sketchbook. It's what I use typically when I'm doing illustrations and that type of work. I'm just gonna draw across to know how zoomed in I am, because typically I like drawing small instead of drawing this large image that's gonna take forever. Okay, so let me copy this. Into there. Okay, so I'm going to copy out my image that I'm going to use. So the idea is to create a simplified version of this here. And we're basically going to break this down into some simple shapes. Alright, cool. So let's use our circle tool. So the top of the building here, we just have a round section. Gotta make sure I'm the right layer. I don't know how many times I've done that. Started sketching, and then I realized I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, so we got the main circle here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is create these little columns here as well. So I'm going to bring this in and then just keep putting down lines here. So our goal is to create a simplified version that we can scale down. However, we still want to retain the general idea here. We want them to know what this is at a glance. And it's easier with these kind of buildings that are more well known. Also, if this is your first time tuning in, I upload everything I stream on YouTube because it deletes over after some time on Twitch. So if you're interested in viewing any of those, I do branding and some website work and some isometric illustration. You can view all that on my YouTube, which is ZK Designs, I believe. That's how you find it. Okay, so I'm just laying down the basic shapes here. So I'm already thinking how to create icons out of this. And obviously we're gonna create the outline version, but I also want to explore versions with shadows. And I'm just looking at this image here and I see the shadow right here. This is something we can fill in right there. So for the statue, we can't include that much detail because on small scale it's just not going to be visible. So what we'll do is simplify that. And also I think I want to have a version where we have a split down the middle and this side's going to be dark, just to have like that solid split there. Alright, so let's just add a little more detail here. And some of this will be modified, some of these lines. I'm just trying to get the general idea here before I hop back into Figma. Also, we've reached 50 followers, 51 followers, so thanks for that, guys. Appreciate it. If you're not following yet, please follow to get notified whenever I go live. Okay, so for the top statue, I'm just going to create like a point, because that's what I'm seeing here. Okay, cool. Let me just add a few lines here. All right, cool. Let's just add some squares here that we're gonna add for windows, and I'm gonna skip and add every other instead of every, just to simplify it. And we'll just make one in the middle here. Just gotta keep things symmetric. Now this is obviously not a perfect sketch. If this is a more detailed illustration, I would spend more time on it, putting it together, but since we're doing a simplified icon out of this, I'm just gonna quickly put these lines down here. Let me do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me move this over a little. It's the beauty of digital sketching. Quick edits. Okay, so there's our Capitol building here. I think I'm gonna, let me see if I wanna sketch over any of these other ones. I mean, the obelisk is pretty simple. Maybe Lincoln or the Lincoln Memorial. Alright, let me just see here. Let's just start by building out this Capitol building in icon style, and then we'll go by creating the rest. So let me just copy this image, screenshot it here, and we're jumping back into Figma. Okay, cool, there's our icon. Let me create an artboard. I'll get rid of this tablet, make some room here. Okay, so we're about a quarter way there. We came up with a concept, found some inspiration, and now we sketched out the direction that we want to go in. So here's my Capitol building. Now what I'm going to do is create a rectangle. Let's create a square here, 24 by 24 pixels. Make that red. Then we're going to create a, let's do a 64 by 64. These are the standard sizes. It goes, I think, like you can go 14, 16, or 18 for the smaller sizes, and then 24, 32, 64, those type of sizes. I think typically what you want to do is, it depends on the detail of the icons, but what you can do is create it from small and upscale. Either way, at that difference, the icon's gonna look a little different. So let's just start with the 24 by 24. Now, as you can see, we're gonna have to simplify this a bit just because of the size here. So let me move this to the back and lock it. I'm gonna create a multiply effect on this so I can see through. Same here. Let's just start with this small one here. Okay, I'm just thinking, okay. I think if we even need that bottom layer, if we can just get away with this section here. You really gotta scale down here. Let's create 2 versions. Just gonna get going with this version here first. Okay, so there's our icon, and the goal is to create something pixel perfect here. So now I'm really just gonna start putting lines down until it makes sense. Okay, I want to retain that point, so let's create a point similar to the one we did during the sketch. So this is the center. Gotta make sure everything's centered. And this is going to be a stroke version. I'm going to duplicate the circle and compress it down to make the inner columns or bends, and I think we have to make this a little wider. This is what we're at right now. We have to do one line down the center here. Okay, so let's remove this bottom section. Actually, I'm not gonna flatten it, I'm gonna leave it just in case I need to edit. Alrighty, so we're following the general pattern here, the general sketch, but we're making slight deviations. So we'll do that, then we'll have another. Okay, let's see. Try to have everything symmetrical. This is why I left that square, just in case we have to move things around. There you go. However, I want the line to cut so it's going straight down. So I think what we can do is, let's modify this. Okay, so we got our top portion done. Now let's create, see, this is a little bit off pixel. There you go, that's better. Let's create the bottom section here. I'm just experimenting and trying to make this look nice here. Okay, so that's the size right there. That's how small it is. Gotta zoom out every once in a while to see if what we're making makes sense and looks good. Okay, just trying to think how to incorporate those windows here. I have very limited room here to work with. You're gonna see me go through a lot of changes and edits here, which is expected with icon work. Okay, even though we have very little room here, decided to make these 2 pixels just so it's more, so it's thicker and easier to see. I think we just have to make this larger because it's getting lost here. Just make everything bigger size here. That's bulky. See how that looks. Okay, so that's looking pretty decent on a very small scale. Alright, let's add some color to this now. So I'm looking up Washington DC colors. Okay, so random picture. Makes sense. Red, white, and blue. But we're going to modify this here. So here's our original icon. Let me create a 1 pixel line version of this as well, just to see how it looks at a small scale. We have to adjust a few things here. See, the cool thing about not flattening things, you can go back and edit them a lot easier than if we were to flatten everything. Yeah, no, I don't really like this version. It's just not working as well as the 2 pixel line. Okay, so let's dupe this and apply some color here. I like that color. Although I think if we lighten it up a bit, because it looks kind of dark here. So let's play with the colors. See how this looks. Okay, cool. So I like how this is looking right now. Okay, so this is our 20 by 24 version. And as you see, it's not 24 by 24 because if I made it super wide, the building would just look off. So that's the way it fits. So here's our first icon, and this is a small version. And I think for this small version, maybe let's add this little element here, a little background element, just to add a little bit to it. A little more. Oh, actually, this is how good ideas come. So what we'll do is we'll create a filled-in version. Let's see how we can make this look better here, if we can make it look better. Okay, I'm kind of confused here. All right, that's pretty cool. I like that too. Sort of a negative filled-in version. What's up, Victor? Thanks for joining. All right, so we got our 2 versions here. Well, 3 versions. Let me know which ones you guys like better, the darker or the lighter blue. Okay, cool. So here's our basic icon here. And now I'm going to scale these up. So let's create a larger version of this 64 by 64, and we're gonna add some more details and all that good stuff into this version. We have more room to play with here. Okay, so this one I'm gonna create a slightly different style. Yeah, this is what I was thinking as well for the light blue version. It's just because the dark one just kind of looks like black at that small scale. But for this larger version, what we're going to do is add these shadows like I talked about during the sketch. So we'll have half of it this dark shadow style and the rest of it this lighter color. And also, I'm wondering if we can put it in a circle. That could be cool. A circle like that, but we'll do that after. So let's start off by just creating this thing now again. And we're going to add a little more detail to it so we have more room to play with. Okay, and I might add like little things like this now since we have some more pixels here to play with. Okay, so let's add that. Now I'm just straight up following the sketch here. We're gonna have that round out. Okay, now the thing I love about icons is creating images from very simple shapes. Like nothing we've done here has been custom or complex. It's just simple little shapes that we put together. Okie cool. Just making all these little cuts here. I'm gonna extend this out 2 pixels on both sides, and maybe let's do 2 here and 2 here. Gotta add a little bit more character. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing with this overlays. Okay, cool. Let me remove the bottom portion of this circle here. I'm just gonna subtract this. Okay, cool. I'm going to make it larger as it goes down. Okay, I think I want to make this thinner. It's too thick there, so that looks better. And I also want to add this little slant. Alrighty, so there's the basic shape here. There's the basic outline that we created. Just bring that over so you can see, and this is what it's gonna look like at full scale here. Now what we're gonna do is try to add some details and make it look nicer. Okay, so I don't like the way this looks. It looks like it's thicker in the center. So I'm going to create this out of a line instead of a shape. That way it's all consistent throughout. Now let's make this 3 pixels. Copy this down as well and do this here too, just to stay consistent. And we're gonna make this 5 pixels, so it's thicker at the bottom. Okay, we have about 20 something minutes left, so I'm just going to power through this and try to create this version. It's a little bit too thick there, so let's make this smaller. All right, now what I'm gonna do is add some color just so I can play with the color and shadow and that sort of thing. Or maybe it's too soon for that. Maybe let's keep it simple. Okay, I think I still need to add these lines here, so I'm gonna copy this. Compress it by 4 pixels until we have this. Maybe let's do 5 for the inner one. Okay, cool. Now we have that kind of gradient thing going out. Make this dark and probably slanted here, or whatever it's called, around these corners. And at the bottom I have this kind of going outward, and I think that finishes it better than what I have here. So let me dupe this square. We need to make sure we're staying within the 64 by 64 size. So what I'm going to do is move this over 3 pixels. Let's add an anchor point. Move it back and down, and now when we add a rounding, it'll look like that. It's a very small detail, but I think it'll help. I'm gonna add 1 more pixel there, so we have 4 pixels out. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a little life hack here, how to create these rounded edges or corners or whatever you call them. And just think it might be better if we add some more footing here. Let me create it from a different object, just in case you want to change the color of it. I just don't want it to look like a cake, but we might edit that. Snap. Okay, cool. So now let's add some windows into this. I'm gonna calculate everything here. I have 2 pixels from top and bottom spacing. Let's just see how this fits. So 4 pixels, 4 pixels. Same thing on this side. Okay, so let's make these smaller and add an angle. I think these are the same. Yep. And make this 1 pixel smaller here. Okay, cool. Now let's add smaller versions. And what I'm going to do is create 2 versions of this. As you can see, I'm saving things just in case I want to go back. So, sounds like a dolphin. Make sure whenever you're building stuff out that you make duplicates. Just in case you want to go back. Alright, let's make a squared off version. The way I'm going to do this is copy this down. Alrighty, so I'm going to fix these. Put them all on the same level. And to keep that consistent bend, I'm going to copy this down and subtract it. Okay, let's group this into one. Combine it so that we can subtract it all with one attempt. Alright, boom, so we have that. Now let's center that. Okay, now let's bring these up here and do the same thing. So I'm gonna create a duplicate version of this and move it to the top. I'll make that red highlighted for you so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we have this, and now we're gonna move it down. First of all, let me center this. Okay, so let's do 1, 2, and take off 2 from the bottom. 1, 2. Okay, so that's gonna be too small. What I'll do is maybe add a 1 pixel buffer, and we're gonna have to bring these in here. So I think make them all 1 pixel smaller. Okay, that's not looking good. Let me try to figure this out. So this is gonna be our line. Okay, and here's our other line. Okay, make sure everything's centered. Now let's, okay, so I'm just gonna start with the strands because this is confusing me. So we're gonna create more of these than we did of the bottom ones just because they're smaller and we can fit more of them in there. However, depends how we can space these out. Okay, so every 3 pixels and then 2 pixels from the side. That looks like it works. So let me duplicate this over. Alright, cool. So let's see how this looks now when we subtract those 2 layers from it again. Okay, cool. That looks cool. I like that. Now, there's going to be obviously all sorts of versions that I'm going to create. So none of this is even close to final. But I'm pretty happy with the overall shape and the amount of detail in this one. So here you can see our process. From sketch to vector to detail. And now the fun part, let's play with color. And as I mentioned before, I kind of wanted to create a version where it's in a circle. So we'll see how that plays out as well. For now, let's just create the standalone version. So I'm going to bring this color palette back, or maybe I'll just use these blues, and I like how this gray and white is white works together. Okay, so here's our color palette, and now let's explore and see what we can create with this. Okay, so these I might create darker versions. I'll probably lighten this up a bit because it's a bit too dark. Now comes the fine tuning. So you're gonna see a lot of edits and changes here. Alright, so don't like where this is at right now. Gonna need to fine tune it some more. Actually, sorry, let me create this version with inside the circle. And the reason I want to do this is because it's going to be a more simple version. It's like a negative space version. gonna group some of these elements together so I can. Well, before I do that, let's make a duplicate of it. Try to make this color work here. That's looking pretty interesting. Feel like we could take it a bit farther though. Let's create that version that I talked about where it's half shaded in. We'll see how that plays out. Group these together so that we have less shapes to work with. Okay, so we're gonna do a 30% opacity on this main color, and that'll be our little shadow here on the right side. And I think what we can do is add little cuts in here. Yeah, let me show you what I mean. To add some cool little details here, sort of like shadow work. So I'm just going to continue trying these things until I create something that looks dribble worthy. Add some nice gradients into that. For this, maybe it is better to have squared off edges. And let's add that little cut in here as well. Okay, that's looking really cool. What do you guys think about this direction so far? Let's not overdo it with the cuts. I'm just gonna add gradients and stuff like that to make it more interesting, look better. Play off of colors and that sort of thing. That's like a completely different style that I haven't explored yet, so just bear with me now. And we're a little bit over an hour now. So I'll be wrapping up here soon. It's really nice. I like how that's looking. Let's create a red version real quick. Boom, that quickly. Okay, I'm gonna add some more detail here, so I'm gonna duplicate this and let's add a little shadow to the back. Let me move this over 1 pixel and then we will create an intersect selection. Okay, I'll do the same thing here, see how this works. I don't know if this is too small for this, but see how that looks. Yeah, probably a little small. I'm gonna probably scale this up, and when I post it on Dribbble, it's gonna be like a bigger emblem here, so you'll be able to see more details. Slow this down. Okay, I also want to try a version where the windows at the bottom are cut at the angle of this circle. We'll do that by intersecting this, and that's looking pretty cool. I wonder if it's worth adding some sort of bottom barrier to kind of finish it off here. Okay, also I'm going to try to create a gradient in the background. A slight gradient. Make it a little darker at the bottom. All right, and here we are. I really love this result and what we've got here. So let's go over the process here. We started by creating a small 24 by 24 icon. We created an outline version and a filled version here, based off of this sketch. After which we created a 64 by 64 version. Started off by building out the elements, making sure everything's square inside there. And this one has a little more detail since it's larger and can hold more detail. So we created here a larger version. So if I was going to dribble this, I'm going to create a dribble shot here. And I believe it's 1600 by 1200 now. Okay, so let's scale this up. I think this in itself has a lot of detail and maybe could be a standalone shot here. This looks cool in here, just like that. Or what we can do is create versions of this where we have a smaller icon paired with a larger one. Maybe if I created like an icon set. I would create like a floating card here. I'm just thinking of creative ways to showcase the design here. Make sort of a poster out of this. And this would definitely be a cool icon set or icon pack or illustration pack here that you can use for different places. And this version you can completely just remove that and just have a standalone, a flat version. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. This is if we only had one color to work with for smaller scale. There's small one in the corner. Let's add a beefier shadow. Excuse me. I have a bit of allergies here. We can do They're just interesting ways to style things for Dribbble. I think I want to do a version. A stream where it's tips and tricks for dribble. I think that'd be something cool that people would like. So we can have something like that, or we can, like I said on the left, just a simple plain white version. Simple color version, boom. All right, and that's basically it. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this segment here, this illustration work. Excuse my sniffling. I have a little bit of a cold here, but that ain't gonna stop us, you know me. But I thank you for tuning in, and if you guys enjoyed this and you want to see more like this, feel free to follow on Twitch. That'd be appreciated. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube and as well as this shot to dribble, so that's where you'll see it, and I will see you guys on Friday. So basically, peace out for now.